Pizza. This is in Florida. And I'm telling you what, they implemented the moves, the proven systems that we're going to deep dive into like we're Jacques Cousteau at our 2-day in-person Thrive Time workshops. If you want to know more about it, we have 2 tickets left. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. You can go to thrivetimeshow.com to get your final tickets. It's going to be a packed out house. I'm super excited. You're going to put up with me for 15 hours of power.
Clay, this is so awesome. You're talking 1% motivation, but you are going to spend 99% of your time on the 99% of, as my philosopher mentor Larry the Cable Guy says, get her done.
We are going to get her done. We're going to teach you how to
talk about it. Yeah, the 99% about getting stuff done. And this has literally transformed this pizza place?
Yeah, absolutely. And we had an email that just came in from our Oklahoma Joe's email hotline. You can email us at info@thrive15.com. You can email info@thrive15.com. And I'm reading it, but it seems as though that this is probably how the Thriver felt when they sent it. They're going, Clay, when you said that Tim grew his business from 2 people to 3, you mentioned that the business grew by 50%. That's or 30 by 30%. That was actually 50%. So the point is, Tim, when you're growing from 2 people, right? So when you guys are starting the business, it was Tim and Tim. There's two of you. It's you and him.
TNT, they called it.
So it's you two. And where were you officing? Were you officing in a bunker and on a bale of hay in a car?
We were in a 3-bedroom condominium that he set a temperature, I think, at 102.
So you're in the condo.
Steaming condo.
So how did you recruit the next guy to come work for you? Because it had to be definitely not inspiring or encouraging to meet you at a condo. And you're like, so how many people work here? There's 2. There's Tim. And Tim, that's both of us. There's both of us, and they say, well, okay, now who else works here? Just us 2. And is this your office? Yeah, it's our condo/office. I mean, it couldn't have been a very inspiring deal, but yet that's where most entrepreneurs start. They start out of their garage or out of their house. How did you convince somebody else to come join your team?
Well, I tell you, what we did was that first year we worked our heinies off. We ended up selling $1 million between the 2 of us. And we got enough money to move into an office.
An office?
Okay, and then that's when I began to recruit. I went back to my alma mater, ORU, and I began to recruit on campus. I spoke to various clubs and did all that kind of stuff. And we started just sharing the vision of how big we wanted to be. I wrote down, the first week I was there, I wrote down like 15 goals that we're going to reach in the next 15 years. And I just began to share that vision, and we just slowly but surely began to obtain all 15 of those goals.
What do you say to somebody though? When there's only 2 of you, and you're trying to get the 3rd guy to join the team. What do you say to the guy? What are the moves? What do you say to a person to convince them that they should come work for you?
We said that our future is huge. It's going to be bigly. No, seriously, we just began to share the vision. I said, listen, we are sending out mailers to 20,000 CPAs. And that's what, CPAs are constant pain in the abdomen. That's what that stands for, or something like that. But we were marketing as CPAs, and so we said we want to go from 20,000 to 40,000, then we want to go to 60 and 80,000. I said, so the more people we can have come on board, we just begin to share the vision. We're growing. There's motion going on. The last year, Tim and Tim sold $1 million, just pretty much just on their own. We need help, but we need people that can have that entrepreneur mindset, dive in and help us grow this beast.
Now, Stacy Purcell is the CEO and president of the Purcell Group, and they help top companies find top people, really kind of executive search level. I mean, if you're looking for some high-quality people for some tough-to-fill positions, that's what she does. And I have a question for you, Stacy, about this, and I want to see if you agree with what I've seen to be, unfortunately, normal in business. There's a guy I know pretty well who he always asks me, he always says, Clay, if you have anybody who doesn't work out for your company, or if you have somebody who's a good fit, and maybe if you know of somebody, I'm looking to hire somebody to come in and help me do my customer service. And Stacy, every time that I have referred this person, I did it twice, a customer service person, it always is a crash and burn. The employee always comes back to me and calls me and says, I hate working there. I do not like my boss. He is not a good person. He's disorganized. He's stressed out. No one knows what they're doing. There are no systems. It's weird. And they always end up coming back to my office wanting to work with us. How often have you tried to recruit for a business out there where they're you almost can't recruit for them because they have so much dysfunction in the business? Is this normal?
I mean, I wouldn't say that that's an everyday occurrence, but I have run into it. I have a recent situation where that happened, where I have been recruiting on a position and talked to a former employee of my client and didn't know he was a former employee until we started talking. And he said, I left that company because the CEO would never delegate. He was always wanting to do everything himself and wouldn't delegate the work to the employees and let them go out and do their job. So sometimes we do have obstacles like that one that we have to overcome.
What advice would you have for the employer out there that maybe has created a culture where they cannot find or hire good people? It's a thing where no matter how many candidates come their way, they're not currently. What would be some tips or advice that you would give to somebody who's an employer that's really, really struggling to retain top talent? I mean, maybe you could bring them top talent, but they're struggling to retain. What tip or advice would you have for somebody?
I would say they need to stop and analyze that situation and figure out why that's happening. And it'd be great if they could get some feedback from some of the employees who have left through exit interviews. Interview the employees that are leaving your company and find out why, and then do a self-reflection, look inwardly and try to figure out, why that's happening and what you can do to combat that.
Now, Thrivers, our next recruiting epiphany that I want to really dive into, I want to dive into this, is number 3 here. Always be improving yourself. Take on the responsibility, both employers and employees. Stacy, what do you mean by that?
Well, everybody should continuously focus on their self-improvement. So they should continuously do continuing education and training. And even if your employer doesn't provide that for you, which not every employer does, I understand, take that initiative into your own hands. Read books, go back to school, get another degree, a master's degree perhaps. Join organizations like Toastmasters to work on your communications and your leadership skills.
That is a great organization. I really encourage
I've been a member. It's a fantastic organization. And the other thing I would recommend would be networking.
Networking? What do you mean by networking?
Seek people out that you respect and look for people that you can learn from. And attend trade shows, conferences, industry events, whatever industry you're working in. Or join associations, meet with people who you respect, who are better than you in terms of their experience and skills, people that you can learn from.
Now, excuse me, I did not mean to cut you off. What were you saying?
I was talking off air with you, Stacy, and it's amazing that you are able to place the top 10% people all over the place here, scientists and executives and all that. But I was surprised at the number of people you talk to aren't really qualified. They're not really at the level you need them to be to place them in the opportunities you have to place them. I find that it's just that how unprepared the marketplace is. Speak to that for a little bit.
Did you know that the average search and recruiting firm only places about 5% of the talent that they talk with on a yearly basis?
That bothers me.
Well, I have I've been known to have occasionally strong opinions, but one of the things is I know 2 Tulsans very well, or 2 Oklahomies very well, who are worth $1 billion. Their companies are worth $1 billion, the beat. And talking to these people, one thing that was interesting to me is when the economy was just crashing, it was just coming apart, the calm with which they both said almost the same statement to me. I was talking to them about just the market, what was going on. And in my businesses, honestly, we didn't take a dive at all in either recession. I just don't care. I just sell more. So the thing is, they were talking about, one of the guys, he goes, well, one thing I love about recessions is that it gives me a reason to fire the people that I shouldn't have hired anyway. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, because what will happen is, he says, is that in America today, he says, if you look at the statistics, the U.S. Chamber, as an example, they did a study with CBS News. You can Google this, Thrivers. If you Google CBS News and employee theft, you'll find the article. And they found that 75% of employees are stealing from the workplace.
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, if you go to like Quick Trip, as an example, to buy gas, there's like great people over there, and it's an awesome place. But have you ever been into some of the gas stations that require you to like take a large metal apparatus with you to the bathroom just to get into the bathroom? And then when you get into the bathroom by the way, the bathroom is always not attached. It's always outside of the gas station. Once you get inside, have you ever noticed it looks like a third world country in there? I mean, the whole thing is not good. And yet the people who work there, then you say, excuse me, sir, the bathroom doesn't work. And then the guy's on his cell phone, and he goes, excuse me? And you go, the bathroom is dirty. Can someone clean it? And they act offended, and they act like they can't hear you, and they say, just wait a minute, I need to finish this call. This scenario happens all the time. And so the thing is, there, Thrivers, is that I was once one of those kind of people that was a bottom feeder. I was like the carp of the marketplace. I did my job poorly, and I complained I didn't get paid very much at the job I did have. And so the big needle mover that everybody can do this year that will help you improve your job skills is improving your communication skills. Everybody needs to be self-aware, and we all need to improve our communication skills. And did you know this? Warren Buffett actually said in his book, The Snowball, he said, I once was so terrified that I just couldn't speak in public. He went on to say he enrolled in the Dale Carnegie Institute classes on communication, and he said that his certificate from the Dale Carnegie Institute is his number one prized business possession.
That is amazing.
He said that the Dale Carnegie communication training changed his entire career. So Thrivers, you can improve. Stay tuned. ThriveTimeShow.com.
You're listening to the Thrive Time Show.
All right, Thrive Nation, welcome back to the Thrive Time Show on your radio, helping every day to become a lovely day for you and your wallet. Welcome back, and I'm telling you what, Thrive Nation, I could not be more excited to be joined on today's program than by our two incredible guests. We have Tim Redmond. This is an entrepreneur who's grown a business from 2 people to 450. Thrivers, do you recognize the profundity of that statement? 450. Have you ever tried to organize 450 people to do anything? I mean, think about your last Thanksgiving. You're sitting around the table. Your aunt, her name is like, maybe your aunt's name is Karen. And Karen says to you, hey guys, we should see a movie. And you say, oh, we should see a movie. And you go, guys, what movie do you want to see? Because your family's, about an average size for Thanksgiving. You get about 20 people in the room. And they're like, well, I think we should see the new Star Wars. And someone else says, well, I don't want to see Star Wars. I've already seen a lot of Star Wars. And then your Uncle Billy, probably Billy, goes, no, you haven't seen this Star Wars. It's the new Star Wars. And they go, well, what Star Wars is it? And then your aunt, let's say her name is like Rachel. She goes, well, I don't understand why they made them prequels and sequels. And why do they even have Spock? And then your uncle interrupts and goes, Spock's not in that. That's Star Trek. And this dysfunction goes on and on and on. And finally, around like 6:30 p.m., you've been talking about it since 4. You finally go, you know what? Let's just not even go to a movie. And they go, no, don't be like that. We'll find a movie. And so you finally show up at the movie theater, hypothetically. And you show up and you go, oh, no, the next movie doesn't even start till 8. And you find yourself eating at Applebee's. And then you go on over there and you watch a movie that no one likes because you compromised. That is what it's like trying to lead 20 people. Could you imagine trying to lead 450 people? You have to have a certain set of skills that you've developed over a period of time to lead 450 people. And if you're listening right now and you're struggling to lead even 6 people, that's okay. Because you got to start somewhere, but it's not okay to stay there. Okay, you can't stay there. We only have like the day we have right now. We don't have someday. Someday is a distant reality that probably will never come to fruition someday. But we have today. And Jim Stovall, one of our great listeners, he sent me a copy of his newest book called The Art of Productivity. And in his book, he says something that I think you will find to be encouraging. And if you don't, well, then I'm going to have to say it over and over and over again. But here we go. This is what he says. He says, one of the things my late great friend and colleague Zig Ziglar said in that motivation is individualized. And it is in constant demand. He told me that he had met a gentleman who explained to him he didn't need to go to another motivational meeting because he had been to so many of them. He had heard it all, he said. And Zig asked him if he took a shower today. And the gentleman in the question was a bit, bewildered, but nodded in the affirmative and let Zig know that he had, in fact, taken a shower. So Zig told him that motivation was a bit like taking a shower.